Hi, good afternoon. Sorry I'm about 30 seconds late. It's the Jon Gaunt Show here on YouTube, Facebook, and wherever else you want to get it. And look, I got my big brother behind me, watching me. Look this way. There he is. I bet you wish you were watching it on telly now. I've got Smarmer, dressed up as the Terminator. He's strutting around the world stage as if he matters, as if he can sort out world peace. It's all going to be sorted out by the Donald. It isn't going to be sorted out by the coalition of the useless, as I've called them. Have you noticed? The coalition of the so-called willing hasn't gone up in weeks. It's still France, much use they'll be, and us. So it's France and us versus Russia. So that means that Keir Starmer has got carte blanche to go around threatening Putin. Have you seen the way he says Putin? Who the hell does Starmer think he is? I don't want him to go to war for us. I don't want him to put me in a war situation. Well, it wouldn't be me, would it? It'd be our kids. But that's the bottom line. It wouldn't be his kids. And I just think it's outrageous. What's happening is the media, the mainstream media, as you know, did not want a situation where they were no longer in control. But the Conservatives effed it up so much. Everybody voted for the least worst option. Ladies and gentlemen, there he is. Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer. Keir the kiddies harmer. Keir the pensioners harmer. This man wants to take you to war and wants to take you to war using the pensioners' money that he's stolen off them. That's what he wants to do. And none of the MSM are loving it because in a way they know that if he becomes this international statesman, it will solidify his position and therefore he'll keep getting elected. Not him. It's not about him. Don't you see that? It's not about Keir Starmer. It's about the fact that they would be back in control. All the media types, the lovely types, the uber liberals, the people who run our police force, our social services, our courts. I mean, the judges already think they're more important than the elected politicians. That's why we're not changing anything. And that's what they've been looking for. So because Starmer's gone and had a meeting of the coalition of the useless, everyone says, oh, he's such a statesman. Sorry, what's he achieved? Has he brought about world peace? Has he hellers like? He's achieved jack all. Meanwhile, he's got an excuse for not worrying about student loans, student grants, the farmers being ripped off, the old age pensioners choosing between meat and heat. Shall I go on? The council tax rises that are coming. And he can carry on saying, oh, there's been a £28 billion black hole without having to say what it is. He's been in power 7 months now. Don't get me wrong. The Tories were useless as well. And now he's just been handed another beautiful position because Farage and that no Mark Lowe are too busy arguing with each other. How stupid is that? At a time when the public are clearly not on Starmer's side, they should put their differences aside, stop throwing their toys out of the pram. Rupert Lowe, you're not the leader. You'll never be a leader. You're like Gordon Brown. The leader is Farage with all his faults. You could be number two. I bet you make a nice number two, Rupert. And as for that other geezer, Zaya, whatever his name is, he's just a troublemaker. Nigel, boot him. Boot him before Monday because he's bringing you down in the eyes of the public. But so the right have got one of the best opportunities ever. And as per usual, they're messing it up, which then gives you lefties free reign. I don't know where the lefties go in the week, but today they've all been on Twitter X having a go at me, calling me this, calling me that. And just they put up foul memes. They're just horrible. I know, look to all of these guys. The ugliest bloke I've ever seen. It's a good job as a left winger because he's never going to get himself a decent woman. Ugly. And then ugly in personality as well. But anyway, I digress. The point is, Starmer is diverting attention, and you've got to wake up to it, guys. You've got to say, no, not in my name. I don't want to go to war with Russia. Do you? Have the BBC done any kind of, referendum on it? Any kind of vox pop on it? No, because if they went out on the streets of the United Kingdom, most people would say, we don't want war. We don't want our sons to die again and come back in body bags draped in the Union flag at Bryce Norton. No, thank you. We don't want that. So you've got to question, why are the mainstream media not asking that question? You wouldn't know we're on the verge of World War III, would you? If you watch Question Time or the BBC, the lamestream newspapers, if you read those newspapers, they're all playing into Putin's this, Putin's that. Well, undoubtedly, he's a dictator. And I'd say he shouldn't have invaded Ukraine. But excuse me, he's done it, and he's not going to pull back out. So what we have to do is come up with a compromise situation, which Donald Trump will give us. But you see, that's what they hate as well. Trump and J.D. Vance have come into power, and they are going to sort it out. They've got Zelensky at the table. They've got the Russians at the table. Just remind me, did Joe Biden do that? Oh, no, of course he didn't. He was too busy filling his pants, literally and metaphorically. They want another leader like him. They'd have had the laughing hyena. You imagine how she would have coped with a meeting with Putin. And then, of course, our supreme leader, we'll call him the Terminator, right? Well, there's a term. Look at him, there he is. Anyway, he does a press conference. Did you see it yesterday? He had a meeting on Saturday, and he made a big thing about it in the week. Oh, yeah, the leaders of the willing were all coming together to sort out how we can deal with Russia. We're not going to have Russia doing this to us. It turns into a meeting, him sitting in front of a computer. I don't know where his hands were. In front of a computer in a big room, right, at Downing Street. And allegedly, all the leaders of the willing, I think there's a prefix missing there, the unwilling, were at their computers. We didn't see any of them. Oh, yes, we did. We saw Ursula van Leyen, who used to be the head of the EU, or whatever her name is. And I see Poland have pulled out, even though the bloke who runs Poland now used to be the head honcho at the EU. You couldn't make this rubbish up. So he sat there with his computer and his hands underneath the desk, trying to look all statesman-like, yeah? I think we should just cut out the middleman, Starmer. Let's just get to the point where you come back waving a white piece of paper and you say, peace in our time. And we all say, peace off. Yeah, because you've achieved jack all. You've put the most unpopular person you could next to Jack the Ripper as US ambassador. So Trump doesn't want to talk to him. The man who's called him and Vance morons. Why don't you just go to whole hog? Let's put Trevor Lammy there. If you can get him away from the biscuit tin, because that's the other problem, isn't it? £7,000 spent on biscuits in one meeting by Trevor Lammy. No, his name's not Trevor Lammy, is it? I keep saying that. That's a guy I went to school with. David Lammy. I apologise. I'm coming to your comments in a moment. And so after the meeting, after the press conference, I said on Twitter, well, I bet Putin is crapping himself after that dull press conference. After the meeting of his coalition of the useless. He can't even secure our borders or stop a rubber dinghy getting in. How the hell does he think he can stop Putin and Mother Russia? Unbelievable response. 28,000 people responded within a couple of hours, and the majority of them agreed with me. A couple of people made the point I spelt dinghy wrong. I spelt it as, it's a rubber dinghy, as in those adverts, where they're licking the... You old enough to remember those adverts? Anyway, I forgot to put the H in, so I do apologise. A lot of the lefties have got up on their high. You can't even spell dinghy. You can't even spell dinghy. Yeah, that's because of your useless education system when you were in power. Huh? Probably. But anyway, there we are. We'll put it to one side. So it was a mistake. I just can't believe where we are. I just can't believe it. And I can, because this is what the media want. If they can build him up into a world statesman, then perhaps will forget just how useless he is. But he's leading the coalition of the useless. And if he isn't, if I've got it wrong, Mr. Starmer, tell us who else is sending their boys to die on the land that is called Ukraine. I know we're sending, you're desperate to put boots on the ground. Yeah. Despite the fact that Putin has said he won't accept that, despite the fact that Trump isn't asking for it, and despite the fact that Trump is trying to do a deal that you can't even get into the press gallery for. Starmer, you're a nothing. You're a nobody. You're a jumped up human rights lawyer. I tell you what you should be doing, Mr. Starmer. Why don't you try and defend our borders? If you put as much energy, who's looking at me now, and as much vigor into that, Keir, perhaps we wouldn't have an end of the pier political show, which is what we've got at the moment. This country is being invaded by men who are of fighting age. Why are you allowing it to happen? And then you do the classic end of pier magic show worthy of Paul Daniels, where you say, basically, look how many we're deporting. We're deporting more than the Tories did. Well, that is factually correct. But what you don't tell us is in that video, the majority of people getting on that plane were people who asked to go back to their home countries or were paid to go back. You're not grabbing the people as they get off the lifeboat at Dover or Clacton or wherever it is and saying, right, here's some new clothes, here's a good meal, back on the boat, you're going back to Calais. You're not doing that, are you? So basically, it's a Brian Hannahan during the Falklands War. You're counting them in, almost rolling out the red carpet, but you're not really counting them out. It's a disgrace. It's smoke and mirrors. And you think you can kid the British public? Well, you kidded the mainstream media because they're just desperate for any story that makes you look good, because they don't want the balance knocked at all. They want you in power. They don't want the British public to have their say. Now, I'm all for well-controlled, managed immigration. How many times do I have to say it? I haven't got a problem with that at all. I haven't got a problem with the colour of people's skin or the religion or anything, unless that religion infringes on the rest of it. I say, if you want to come in and you're going to contribute, all right, but you should come through the proper channels. And the one thing you cannot disrepute, you uber liberals, every one of them in those hotels, every one of them is illegal. They've broken the law to get in. Now, the law might be wrong, or it might be too harsh in the sense that you can't apply outside the country. However, that's the law. And if you're the Terminator, it's the law, then you need to be coming down hard on that, Sir Keir. But instead, no, what you've done is a typical Labour end of the pier magic show. You're going to have a go at people with disabilities. Oh, and you come on really hard about that as well. Yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. When you've got no intention of doing it, you've watered it down. But you're attacking the most vulnerable people in society again. 10 million pensioners are choosing between meat and heat. Farmers are going to go out of business or lose their inheritance. And you promised the students, and you're basically dropping one on them as well. And now you think, let's have a go at the disabled. Let's have a go at people who can't defend themselves. We'll have a right go. I'd like to see them. They won't be able to get to London to protest. That's basically the thing. It's almost Tory boy thinking. And I think what the Tories did was disgraceful in their worst moments. But you, Sir Keir, you come over as all woke. Oh, be kind, be kind. We're lovely people. Look, let's all have a cuddle. Let's all have a hug. Oh, another bomb's gone off. Loads of killed. Kids have been killed. Never mind. Let's sing Kumbaya and not look back in anger. Well, up yours, mate, because the British people are angry and you're adding to it every millisecond you breathe. You didn't give us a straight answer, did you, Sir Keir, when it came to Axel, the mass murderer of young girls in Southport? No, you lied, effectively. That's what you did. You didn't tell the whole truth. Even your own Teresa says that now. And the mainstream media have not pulled you up for it. The mainstream media have dropped the inquiries into your free suits, your freebies, your glasses from Lord Ali, the underwear or whatever it was, or frocks that he bought your wife, while your son was still revising in his penthouse flat after A-levels had finished. There were so many unanswered questions, Mr. Terminator. When are you going to give us some of the answers? Meanwhile, Farage and Lowe are having this childish spat. Those two need to grow up. And Trump is getting on with bringing peace to the world. I can't wait till he announces it. Zelensky, all that strop in the White House, what's he doing now? He's round the table and he's behaving himself as they try to thrash out the deal. This is a joke. It's an absolute outrage. And I haven't even got onto, I want to talk about hospitality today. You're killing the hospitality trade. Absolutely killing it stone dead. But that's because you've probably never been in a pub. Have you, Sir Keir? Huh? Oh, you go to the football, but oh, yeah, of course, they're freebies as well, aren't they? Right, let's take your calls. Their calls. Soon, John, soon. Afternoon, John. Starmer can't stop Russia. He's living in cloud cuckoo land. He's delusional to think he and the rest of Europe can. The only hope, as I've said many times by you, John, is Donald Trump. TV Steve Harris. We're all going to be banged up, are we? Well, why is that then? Where was next? As your video title says, we can't defend our own borders, yet venturing to the Ukraine. Kursk is full of French and UK mercenaries already. The military made a study of the House of Lords a few years ago. They found their gameplays showed Russia could invade and occupy the UK in under 2 weeks. Well, we'll see about that, won't we? TV Steve Harris says, peace off. That was so funny. Yeah, it was. You can steal it if you want. I've got a few of those. I am funny. I am witty at times underneath all this stroppiness. This David Edwards, I'm getting fed up of this, David. If you do it again, you'll get blocked. Free Tommy Robinson now. Well, okay, fine, but not on here, please. I don't want you to be using my platform for pure propaganda. I'll have the discussion about Tommy, but don't do that because it annoys me. Stop the boats and stop the invasion. Well, it does feel more and more like invasion. I agree with you. I just don't understand why we can't send some of them back. You know, let's see them. Let's have them on mobile phones, annoyed, trying not to get up the steps. That would send the message. Don't get me wrong. I've got great sympathy if they are fleeing, you know, persecution, poverty, whatever. But the majority aren't. It's clear. It's absolutely clear. The human rights leeches are having a field day. And guess what? The pensioners, the students, the farmers, me and you are paying for it. Remember when Starmer said, I'm bringing down the price of a pint? And, oh, wasn't he marvellous? It's all over the front pages. What he didn't tell you was the cost of employing people was going to go through the roof. I've got two good examples of this. My daughter is studying for a PhD, and to help fund it, she's running a cocktail bar. It's a really nice place. They've made a great job of it, her and her boyfriend. They're doing brilliant business for these people. They're working for people. They're doing really well. But I said, did you employ that other person? No. Why not? We can't afford it at the moment. What do you mean you can't afford it? It's only 10 quid or 11 quid an hour. She said, Dad, it's the NI. It's all the other on costs that are coming in, particularly in April. She said it's going to be almost impossible to employ more people. Then my mate, Rick Cressman, used to have him on the show. I'll get him on again soon. He runs a really upmarket hotel called the Nailcott Hotel, right? They've got a beautiful golf course there, just the par 3 championship. He bought it out of bankruptcy, receivership, and he's worked his socks off, him and his wife, Sue, and the team there. But he's finding it increasingly difficult, especially because of COVID and everything else, to employ people. They can't afford it. And my daughter made a really good point, which she said, normally you'd employ, say, a 16-year-old, 17-year-old to do, I don't know, glass collecting or glass washing. She said, there's no real incentive now because they put the minimum wage to be equal. So a load of young people who used to get into hospitality and then via hospitality into other jobs, right? They talk about these people never having a job. That's not going to happen, she said, Dad, because they are not being employed. Because if it's going to cost you the same to have a 16-year-old or a 25-year-old, you probably have the 25-year-old. Do you see the logic? Because they can pull a pint as well. Starmer doesn't get this. And that thick ultimatum Rachel Thieves, she hasn't got a clue. She has completely effed up our economy, and no one's slagging her either. No one. This government is a disaster. Don't interpret this the wrong way. The previous Tories were just as bad. And that's why we were all hoping, even if we weren't fully on board with Farage and reform, we were hoping they would provide an alternative. But what have they done? They've started bitching at each other like rats or cats in a sack. And I think it's pathetic. I don't even care whose fault it is. It's pathetic. They should be thinking about their country. They go on about being patriots, but they're squabbling rather than dealing with Britain. POM, 75,000 troops, out of which 20,000 is deployable to the front line. How long is that going to last in the Ukraine? 3 days. I think you're right. Lots of military experts are saying exactly that. Matt, we have 4+ years of these boats rocking up on our beaches. 4 more years. Well, yes, Matt, but let's be honest. That's on YouTube. What did the Tories do? The Tories almost had the welcome mat out, didn't they? Let's be honest. And a lot of people who own businesses, they were quite happy to have this cheap labour coming in. So it's the whole political class you've got to criticise. We can't really blame Starmer. I'm not sure. I'm happy. I'm going to put my head there. If you're listening on the radio, you're probably thinking, what are you on about, Gaunt? I've got a projection behind me. I've got a green screen. I've gone really upmarket. I've got a projection behind me of Keir Starmer, and we've dressed him up I'm a mega AI fan, via AI to look like the Terminator. He's even got a gun. Look at him. There he is. I bet that. I wonder if that's the first. Shut up, John. Anyway, so he's behind me, but he's beginning to scare me now. But what was I saying to you? Yeah, AI, brilliant. Anyway, but we've got to harness that to help everyone, haven't we? Not just to get rid of more jobs, but side issue. So we've had boats rocking up on our beaches and they'll carry on. You're right, mate. But don't now let's start blaming Starmer for that. It was happening before, and he has sent some people back. Not enough, clearly. If you hate the stream, then leave. I don't understand what that means. Oh, the person above you. Yes, somebody called Yes on Ustream. You have no idea what you're talking about. Hate the stream, and then he's put thumbs down, right? Let's just teach Yes a lesson. If you like what I'm doing, you don't even have to say you like. Just press the respond button and press the thumbs up. We've obviously attracted a few of the lefties today, the thick lefties. I don't mind arguing with a lefty. I don't mind it at all. I'll argue with anyone. But people who are just thick, the people who are just rude, people who say, oh, you're a pensioner. Excuse me, you're an old man. I'm not a pensioner, by the way. I didn't have time to shave my beard. I want to get rid of that. I think it makes me look younger. What do you reckon, ladies? But put your thumb up if you like what I'm doing. If you don't like it, if you're just going to come on and just slag me off, what's the point of that? I used to hate DLT. Hate him with a pat. Ended up working with him, or sharing a studio with him. But I never liked him as a pop DJ. So I didn't listen. I used to listen to Les Ross or whatever it was on BRMB. Just turn over. I used to say this when I was on traditional radio. It doesn't work so much on the internet. If you don't like what I'm doing, put your hand on your very little knob, twiddle it, and listen to something else. Because I don't need you. I literally don't need you. I started with no listeners and had 1 million listeners when I was on TalkSport. I've started all this again. I've got no listeners. But it's getting there. But now we're building each week. And on YouTube, and I'm on YouTube, I'm on, what else am I on? Everything, aren't I? And podcasts. And I'm just going to keep working at it because I am a hard worker. Where are we going next? Julian White says, I love it when you don't hold back. Well, there's no point in holding back, is there? And after being sacked and being the first person to be cancelled in Britain, everyone forgets this. I should have a blue plaque outside my mother-in-law's house where I'm living. That's what I should. Something to brag about. Look, there I am. Look there, girls. I was the first person ever to be cancelled. Anyway, he got booted out of one of the pubs before, says Thistle. That's right, Thistle on X. That was down in Devon Way, wasn't it? I know loads of pubs in my hometown of Coventry have got signs up saying, Keir Starmer barred. They won't let him in. Not that he wouldn't come in a normal pub anyway, would he? He'd get lynched probably, metaphorically speaking. Send illegals to Ukraine instead. Says Roseth 22. Well, it's not the answer, is it? Hey, John, I've been a fan of yours since you were with BBC Three Counties, says WJ on YouTube. Thank you, WJ. Well, we're coming back, and we're coming back stronger than ever. Ronnie Hurst, make the boats legal in the European Parliament. That could stop the boats. That's a good idea. Because if you've got a big rubber dinghy, why do you need it? So anybody found with one, that's it. That's the answer. They're illegal. What? That's not an illegal. That's not legal transportation. Boom, all off. Problem is, how do you get them off, and where do you get them off to? That's the problem, and you can't leave them drowning in the channel. They're just trying to better their lives. It's not the individual migrant's fault. You do know that, don't you? Simon Happ, he has been in a pub. He got kicked out, and his security manhandled the landlord. You're right, Simon. Where was that, by the way? I'm pretty sure it was down in Devon or Cornwall. If anybody can remember, just remind me. I'm no fan of Starmer. His recent action of NHS England means my sister will lose her job. 14,000 people. Yeah, you're right. She's worked for the NHS since 2001. But something needs to be done about Russia. They invaded Ukraine. Well, they did invade Ukraine, and I can't defend that. But it's okay saying something's going to be done about it. What, you want British lives sacrificed, do you? And we can't do anything about it. My little nephew's got more boats in his bath than we've got in the Royal Navy. We can't do anything. And this is what annoys me about Starmer. This is what really annoys me. He's acting as if he could make a difference, right? He couldn't make a difference. The only person who's going to make a difference, I'll tell you, there's two of them, J.D. Vance and President Trump. They're the ones with the military firepower and the economic wherewithal to do it, and that's what they're trying to do. What Starmer should do is get his tongue out of the European cronies, right, out of their backsides, because they won't help. They've already said it in his coalition of the willing. It's now the coalition of the useless. None of them want to help. None of them want to send their boys there. Germany got a bigger army than us, stronger economy, closer to the Ukraine. 9, they said. Italy, she's now saying, no way, Jose. Or was that the Spanish? But do you understand what I'm saying? No one is joining in with Keir. No one. But he struts about, and it was pathetic. He's our Prime Minister. He's in Downing Street all on his own. I was just hoping at one point that the cleaning lady would come in, Amy Turtle out of Crossroads, and say, excuse me, Mr. Prime Minister, have you finished? I've got to do this before Monday. Did I ever tell you about what I was doing? What was I doing? It might have been Crossroads. I was in Crossroads. I was an extra. When I first left university, we tried to get in every soap opera. It's like one of those drinking mad bets that you have. And we were in Crossroads, and we're in the motel, and I was about 22. And basically the director, Amy Turtle, comes, and I'll tell you what, it was Meg Richardson. She's talking to somebody on the phone, that bloke who she was knocking off. I can't remember. David Hunter, was it? Is it? And she's talking to him. And then she comes in, hoovering, Amy Turner. And the director shouts down on the intercom, and it was so loud you could hear it, to the floor manager, and said, get that stupid brummy bitch out of the scene. So he goes, excuse me, Amy, or whatever her name was in real life. He said, you shouldn't be in this scene. She said, oh, yes, I should. It's in the script. I've read the script. I haven't got any lines, but it's in the script that I've got to be hoovering, and then I'm going to the villa. She didn't say that, and that just allows me to use that stupid voice. But anyway, so he says, no. Meanwhile, you're hearing the director shouting, screaming, effing and blinding. Get her out of the picture, because they never used to rehearse, as you probably know. They do Crossroads in about a minute. Anyway, eventually, she got really stroppy. She slams we were all watching this. It's our first experience of professional entertainment. And she throws the Hoover on the floor, runs over to the person who's got the script, who's checking the script as they go along. I don't know why, because nobody bothered learning the bloody lines. And she says, there. And she shows the stage direction to the guy. And it says, this is not a word of a lie, this is a true story. It said, Meg and David Hunter are talking in the foreground. In the background, Amy Turtle hovers. Not hoovers, hovers. And that's why she thought she was in the scene. Classic. Anyway, more showbiz tales another day. Shall we get back to what we're talking about now? I can't bear what Starmer's doing. I wanted to give him the balance, what do you call it? The opportunity to prove himself. But he's achieved jack all. Absolutely jack all. And now he wants to take us to war. And I don't want British people to die in Ukraine. I love the Ukraine. They're nice people, the ones I've met. I met a girl who wanted to be a journalist, gave her some advice. Advice from me? Yeah, well, I know. But anyway, the controlled opposition's at work within reform. Yeah, okay, Julian, but the controlled opposition's everywhere, mate. That's what the media are up to. That's why they're loving what Starmer's doing. Trying to be a statesman, separate him out from us. They'll try and get him elected. I told you before, he's looking for his Falklands moment, right? If there was a boat to sink, he'd be doing it now. He's dangerous. He's really dangerous. And in all my experience of being in the news and stuff over all the years, the people who like money the most are always the lefties. Always. Totally agree, Gaunty, on the money as usual. Hope you make time for your Sunday roast after the show. No, we're having stir fry today, but I don't think I'm cooking for once, which makes a change. Something needs to be done about warmongering European elites, more like, says Pom. You're right. We don't want a war, do we? But I do challenge the BBC. This is my challenge to them. Why don't you go and ask the people? Or YouGov, do you want war with Russia? Would you like our people to be on the ground? None of this fannying around saying as a peace thing. Because if we go as a peace force, it'll only be a matter of days or weeks before we got the body bags back at Brize Norton. Keir's pub eviction was in the Raven in Bath. That's right. Yeah, that's where my daughter used to live. I knew the pub. Thank you for that. Has anyone heard about the Supreme Court slapping down Starmer, telling him he can't keep bypassing Parliament with all the money spending? Yeah, that has happened. However, don't talk to me about the courts at the moment. They think they're above us. They think they can make their minds up about immigration. It's a really bad situation we're in at the moment. I believe that Farage should leave reform. His ego is too big, and while this row keeps going on, the only winner at the next election will be Labour, so Farage should go now. Steve, have you been on the wacky backy? You're talking through the hole in your bottom, mate. Without Farage, reform's nothing. Rupert Lowe's made a few big speeches, and I know one of them is the big migration thing, and good luck to him, but it won't work. That will not get reform elected. It's just a statistical fact. There aren't enough people with views on that side of the argument. There just isn't. It's like me, I'd like to bring back hanging. It's just never going to happen. So the only person who's got is, and you can't compare Rupert Lowe versus Nigel Farage in terms of charisma. You just can't. And then they did a survey. Did you see that? Most people in the country don't know who Rupert Lowe is. Then they asked reform supporters, and I think the figure was even higher. They haven't got a clue either. So I'm sorry. He might be a great political brain. He might be a nice bloke, although I've never met him personally myself, but he's not going to be the leader. The only hope for reform, and I think therefore the only hope for this country, is that they sort out Farage, and Farage shows a bit of humility and comes back into the fold. Trouble with Starmer is he thinks he's better than us. He does. You're right. The Baron Flights. I suspect that Keir Starmer has 4 months left in office. I hope he ends up in court. Well, I don't know where you're getting that from, Baron. I mean, there are a lot of rumours flying around, but so far he's been a bit like Teflon Tony, hasn't he? Nothing sticks to him. Nothing. So I understand. What's happened to the vocal coach? Is he still having her? Because he was useless again. He just can't. If you'd paid him, then maybe that's why he became a human rights lawyer, because it's all funded by us and by the government. Because if you'd employed him as a brief, and then he's not Rumpole of the Bailey, is he? Do you know what I mean? Rumpole of the Bailey, maybe, but he just hasn't got it. You'd be well miffed if you'd employed him and you were paying him thousands of pounds a day to represent you, and he kept doing this with his head. He's like one of those remember those glass woodpecker things you could get? It had they were banned in the end. They had some dreadful red chemical in them, but you tap the head and it would do that. And it would keep doing it, and it would go on and on and on. I think they banned them the same time they banned clackers. Do you remember clackers? We all brought them back from Benidorm. Oh, after sunny, Spain, La Viva, La Benidorm. But everyone broke their wrist. Do you know? Sometimes I think I'm just giving the cultural references for myself. I have to disagree with you, John. Farage isn't the answer. Now the only winner will be Labour. Well, Steve, you're wrong, but we're not going to fall out over it. You're entitled to your opinion, even though it's wrong. Right, I'm finished. Unless you've got a few more comments you want to make. I say we need the lamestream media now to do something. We need to do something, but all of us need to be on our guard. He's getting away with murder. And I don't want to be in a position where he starts to get away with the death of our children. It's not our war. And I don't think Putin is intent on marching through Europe and taking over the world. I think that's just poppycock. I think it's rubbish. And I think Starmer should have been in Washington all this week, even if he was only making the tea for Trump or getting him his Diet Cokes. That would be more use than what he's been up to, pontificating and poncing around Europe, thinking he's making a difference. He's making no difference. In fact, he's probably winding up Trump. Now, if you've enjoyed the show today, or if you've enjoyed the show previously, the best thing you can do for me is when the videos come out later, or the podcasts, please retweet them or share them on Facebook, Twitter, wherever your social media is. You can also help out by buying me a coffee. What's that about, John? Well, it's just a way of donating a £5. So each coffee is a £5. You can donate 1 coffee or 3 coffees, or some people have done 20 coffees. Most people do 3, 15 quid, and it just helps this go. Yeah, and it helps pay me. I'm no longer on the dole, which is something good. Yeah, it's called entrepreneurialism. We're going to get the show sponsored eventually, but it's all about numbers. As you're probably aware, we've now got some advertising from YouTube, and we've also got some advertising on the podcasts as well. But we're talking about minute amounts. So I'm still reliant on you. If you like it, please support it. But as I say, the first thing is to retweet it and tell other people about it and give them the links. I am going to try and get into a steady regime of, say, 6 o'clock or 6:30 every night, these being done. Not 7 days a week, that'd kill me, but quite a lot of them. That's what's going to happen. So if you can help me, that's much appreciated. The other thing is my YouTube channel, which is called Jon Gaunt TV. If you join that, you can just join it, subscribe to it. That's free. You'll then always know when the videos are coming out, and you'll see all the videos. If you want to become a fan, you can. It's 99p, I believe, which is cheap as chips, or $2.99 if you want to be a super fan. And then I see your messages first. I think that's how it works. But all of this, believe me, it really helps. And I'd rather not be having to say all this to you, but at the moment, that's what I have to do, because otherwise I can't carry on doing it. I'd have to go and get a job in waitress. Oh, in a posh supermarket somewhere. Right, finish off with a few comments. Reform is the only chance we have. Unfortunately, I don't think Nigel plays well with others. No, he doesn't. I've been very close to him. It's his way or the highway, but he's done it for years. A lot of good voices on the right have been ended by him. That's true. But there's also people on the right. I was listening to, I got a message today from a good friend of mine, Paul. I've forgotten his surname now. I used to have him on the show a lot. You know what I mean? Plays the synth. How can I forget his name? Am I getting old? Anyway, he was making the point that Farage has fallen out with people before, and a lot of good people have fallen by the wayside. But then Farage is Brexit, reform, UKIP, isn't he? He's the man. He's the figurehead. He's the one who's dedicated his whole life to it. What's that guy's name? Paul, it's with a W. It'll come back to me. Starmer strikes me as the sort of bloke with a really weak, sloppy handshake. Yeah. Imagine shaking his hand. Do you know who's got the strongest handshake ever that I've met? Anyway, I met what's his name? I'm dreadful today. I know his real name, but I can't use his real name. It's against the law. The little geezer is in the SAS, wrote the book about, well, whatever. Bravo 20, that one. Him, right? Andy McNabb. He's got a strong handshake, But the person who's got the strongest handshake ever, maybe that's why she liked him. I don't know. Princess Diana's old boyfriend, the ginger fella, Major Hewitt. I met him at the Sonys when I won my 3 Sonys. He came over to me and he said, Gaunty, I didn't know who he was, some posh knob. He comes over and Lisa, he's a good-looking bloke, isn't he? And I said, I know who that is. That's Diana's. Anyway, he says, Gaunty, I've just got to shake your hand. I think you're brilliant. So I gave him a hand and literally he crushed it. That's how he was a tank commander and a horseman in the household cavalry. Somebody told me afterwards, did he shake you with the right hand or the left? And I said, what does it matter? Is it a bit like Muslims eating food with one hand and doing the bottle with the other one? No, it's just one hand holds the horse and they're extremely strong. I don't know if it's true. I thought it was a good story. It might be just that's the hand he used for making coffee. I don't know. But anyway, he nearly crushed my bloody hand. And then he said, I must just say, he said, I listened to you in the bath. And I went, that's an image I didn't need to have, James Hewitt, in my head, if you don't mind. No, he said, I do. And I think you're bloody marvellous. You say it as it is. I said, thank you very much indeed. Simon Hatt said, is that Harry's dad? Harry who? Yes, John, we both have different opinions on Farage, but do you really think he's the answer? He's no Trump. No, he's not a Trump. Of course he's not. But yes, he's the answer to our problems. John, the MSM are part of the problem. Simon Hatt says it's Andy McNabb. Thank you very much indeed. Hey, John, when are you going to write another book? I still have a copy of Undaunted. It's inspirational. Actually, I just read a bit of that again the other day, just to book my feelings up when I was feeling a bit down. Yeah, it's a bloody good book. It's a good book, yeah. But I've written another book. It's finished and everything. It's a thriller. And I had a publisher, but I've got sounds bullshit there, but I've got media, what do you call it, movie interest in it, from one of those big American streaming things. But listen, I've spoken to my mate Dougie Brimson about that. He's in movies, and he says there's a massive difference between having interest and actually having the check in the account. And he's right. So there's a long way to go. But the book's good. My wife wants me to do an audio recording of book of it because I know loads of people who could do it with me, and just record it and then drop an installment every week. So drop like 3 chapters. It's got 48 chapters or something. It's a big book. She said, why don't you do that and then get your listeners to listen? It might prove then to publishers that there's a market for it. Maybe. I think it's good, but then I wouldn't I? Well, who else we got here? Reference Nigel, no one is indispensable. Well, I'd normally say that's true, but then I'd point you to Alex Ferguson at Manchester United. If Starmer got in a pub, he'd have to drink on his own because he pours the pants off everyone. He's more suited to a clown in a circus. People don't like him. And this is why the BBC, I'm amazed. Well, I'm not amazed. I know what they're like. The BBC or ITV should do a big expose on him. That'd be quite good. You should guest in Gutfield on Fox in the US. You'd go down and stuff. Don't even know what that is. But thank you, Simon. I'll look it up on Wikipedia. Anyway, so I'm finished. Thank you very much indeed for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Paul W. What's his name? He lives in Venice now. God, Paul, I apologise, mate. He'll come back to me as soon as I finish this. You watch. All right, then. Well, that's it. I'll be back tomorrow. If you've enjoyed it, please tell everyone. If you want to bung in a 5 or 2, that'd be great. Until we meet again, which I think will be tomorrow night. If you've got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. Hey, don't forget to tell them that you love them. See ya.